Well, it's hard to believe, but ever since the early 1990s, March 1992 to be exact, I've been publishing articles about the football card hobby. And since 1996, along with my friend Carl Amendola, we've been publishing articles together. So this is just kind of a brief review of some of the things that we've published with respect to the football card hobby and somewhat related memorabilia. This is an experiment. We're going to put this out on YouTube for people to look at. Make of it what you will. As I was saying, by the early 1990s, I had perfected my writing to the point where I thought I should be publishing for money pretty regularly. The problem was that I couldn't find an avenue for that writing until I stumbled upon sports cards. And in the late fall of 1991, I wrote an article about a set of football cards for the World League of American Football. And that card set was a unique item that I thought needed to be spread throughout the hobby. Here's an original box that contains 4 of the card sets. You can see that the box tells you on the side that you can collect all 150 cards. There are real rookie cards in it. World Bowl stat leaders and 10 collectible helmet cards are included here. It's really this box contains 4 of the sets. It's really quite a nice little set. Pro Set, the company that made them, put out tons of them, so they're hardly valuable at all, but they're still interesting from a historical standpoint if you follow football. In any case, in the late fall of 1991, I produced an article about that card set for spec and submitted it to Tough Stuff magazine. Soon thereafter, an editor there, a man named Tucker Freeman Smith, called me up on the phone and said, "We'll take your article and we'll pay you for it." I would mention the amount that I got paid for, but it was such a small amount, it's a little embarrassing at this point. Nonetheless, it was a paid publication and I really appreciated making the sale. Here's the original magazine the article appeared in. This is the March 1992 issue of Tough Stuff. And you can see that it talked about the Pro Set World League set, which we just showed you a second ago. On the strength of this, Tough Stuff magazine contracted with me to start publishing a monthly column for the magazine, which I commenced in June of 1992. Here's a copy of that first column, putting together a quality collection on a small budget. That came out in June 1992. That was followed by the golden age of card collecting. I was talking about the time then because in 1989 the Topps monopoly on making cards was broken, and finally other companies were able to get into it and started producing some really unusual and beautiful sets, such as Score, Pro Set, and others. In my third column, I focused on the Topps USFL set, which was really an excellent little 132 card set. This article came out in August 1992. Here's another one where I talked about where cards came from in the first place, tobacco competition, and how tobacco companies that around the turn of the 20th century were in a fierce competition for customers and put cards in as a premium to get people to buy their cigarettes. Here's an article subsequent to that, October 1992, about the National Chicle set and the reprint that was available of those beautiful 1930s color cards. And here's another look at cards from 1992. In the fall of 1992, companies were really putting out a lot of cards and a lot of sets. Probably too many, and collectors were being overwhelmed. I did a report on it. And the art of selling football cards, I focused on a gentleman here in Eugene, Oregon, Dave Keltz. He's since deceased, the late Dave Keltz, ran a card shop and talked to me at length about what it was like and some things that he had noticed about the hobby. Here's the cover of the January 1993 issue of Tough Stuff, featuring two great running backs, Barry Sanders and Buffalo's Thurman Thomas. And here's the article I wrote for that January 1993 issue. The Gridiron Report for that month talked about finding good investments in the mountain of new material that was coming out. In February 1993, I did another piece on the World League of American Football and some of the new card issues that came out about it. Not just the Pro Set issue, but Wild Card also made a great card set. Here's a Gridiron Report for March of 1993 about minor issue football cards. There's a ton of them, small companies, even large retailers would make specialty sets, and rarely are they covered in the football card hobby or in publications related to it. Here's an article about manufacturers who waited to release certain kinds of cards and picked the right rookie cards for their sets and made collectors more interested in their sets as a result. This came out in April. And this brings us to the last article I wrote for Tough Stuff. This was in 1993. They decided to cancel the column and shift to a different kind of format for the magazine then. It's a private company. They can do what they want. But here's the cover of my last, of the magazine that contained my last Tough Stuff article. And here's that Tough Stuff article about the 1951 Bowman set. And throughout this, I was working on making sure that I covered enough of the football card hobby to eventually have enough for a book, and we'll get to that in just a moment. By late 1993, I had a lot of material about football cards still to go, and no place to publish it like I did with Tough Stuff. But I did find a number of small publications, such as this one called Computer Monitor, sort of a fly-by-night publication, but they took my article about software you could use to track your sports cards with. Then there was another local publication. It was called Oregon Sports News, and I did a series of articles for them. One here about Joe Namath's 1965 rookie card. This came out in the fall of 1994. And then there was an article about football cards of the late 1940s, the Bowman set and the Leaf sets primarily. They came out in 1948 and 1949. And this article was issued in the summer of 1995 and covered those cards. And another Oregon Sports News piece that I did on the Smoky football cards, which is a giveaway set that the University of Oregon gave to fans at Oregon football games, and I talked a little bit about the collectability of such sets. There's a number of players here who you wouldn't know unless you're close to Oregon football, but here's Danny O'Neill here, who eventually led the Ducks to the Rose Bowl in 1994. So, that covers the Tough Stuff period. Shortly thereafter, I found another outlet for my work.